Hi and welcome to Wire Takers and another instalment of Winning Pegs. This is the ultimate guide to help you catch more fish and win more matches. To get to the top of your game is more than just luck, and have we got a treat for you. We've got the legendary Tommy Pickering on Jenny's Lake, and we've got the Welsh international Lee Edwards on Porth Reservoir. So let me explain how Winning Pegs works. It's about an angler revisiting the scene of his victory, then explaining to you exactly how he's done it, no holds barred. Wire Takers in Cornwall is recognised as the mecca of match fishing in the UK. Home to numerous competitions including the Preston Festival, which culminates with the top 24 anglers contesting the Parkdean Masters final. These festivals attract the cream of the UK match fishing scene, and success here comes with the ultimate respect. Now then, it's time to catch up with the first of our featured anglers, none other than the legendary Tommy Pickering. Tommy Pickering is one of the most respected anglers in the world. Not only has he been the UK champion on 3 occasions, he's also achieved 3 gold team medals for his country, and to top that off, he's a former individual world champion. Hello there, Tom. It's lovely to see you again, matey.
Hi, pal.
You've been on this peg before, haven't you?
Yeah, I drew it in one at festivals last year and on last day, and I needed a section win to get it top 10. And I had a great day, to be honest with you. I had 72 F1s and £84, won the lake, won my section. I think I finished 4th overall at festival. I had a lovely day. I chucked in at start on method feeder, and I got an F1 and I got one last cast, and I just kept winding F1s in all day. It was just one of them days. It was a really nice day.
How about any carp? Did you catch any carp on the day?
I only had one. I only had one about 2 or 3 pound, and I think we both know that all F1s live in this area. So when I drew, I knew I were on a good F1 peg, and I think most of the carp were around about the island, but because I'm in open water, I just fished the open water and I had about a cast.
I think what happens on this lake, peg 42 on Jenny's, you know, he's very good for the F1s. However, you go opposite peg 6 and 7, you tend to catch 1, 2 more carp, a little bit deeper water.
A bit deeper,
but who cares as long as you put in an F1 in the net every chuck.
I had a great day, and it were you know, hopefully I can teach, you know, people a few little ways of catching fish on feeder.
Let's hope you have the same sort of day today.
Oh, it will be very nice, and let's hope we do, yeah.
Brilliant.
Bait preparation, it's very important. You've got 2 ways of doing it. You've got pellets around the feeder and you've got ground bait. The preparation of them, you've got to get it right. It's easy to do, providing you go around the right steps. So let's start off with pellets. You want Fin Perfect 2mm feed pellets. You want them to start with. All you do, unzip and tip a full bag into a bowl. Always use a bowl where you can get your hands round. Don't use a square bowl, it's got to be a round bowl so you can get all the pellets. Then one bait we've been working on over the last 6 months is tiger fish. And I've been putting this in my ground bait. I've not been telling everybody, of course, it's been a secret. Just want 1 cupful and just tip it onto your pellets like that. Every bag of pellets, it's quite simple, half a pint of water. Just get half a pint of water and tip it onto the pellets like that. That's all you have to do. Mix them up. Just take your hands, mix them up and let it soak in. Now all I do, it usually takes about 15 minutes this, and all I do every minute is just keep mixing them up and stirring them so the water goes all the way over the pellets, and just leave them. What I'm trying to do is just soften them micro pellets up so they become like a little spongy pellet, so they actually stick in the pellet feeder and on the method. So I just leave them then. While the pellets are getting softer, we can mix as ground bait. Now, I'm very fussy about ground baits and pellets. It's what the fish want more than anything. And I've been working on one over the winter, last 6 months or so, a tiger fish ground bait. And I promise you, it's one of the best ones. What you've got to do is mix it in the right way. And the right way to mix ground bait, again, a round bowl. Tiger fish ground bait, just undo the bag and tip it in. Now there's 2 kilos in a bag. Now 2 kilos is a lot of ground bait. A lot of the times I only use 1 kilo, so I just squeeze it halfway down and tip it into a round bowl. And then you've got a little bit extra, and you can reseal it and you can put it away to use next time. With every kilo of ground bait, I use a pint of water, and I just put it in and stir it round, and that's all you've got to do. Mix it up so it's slightly over wet, and the reason why it's slightly over wet is two reasons. One, it absorbs the water and it'll dry out a little bit. And also, when it's a little bit damp, I like a damp ground bait. I don't like a dry ground bait. I don't want one that's going to fizz up too much. I want it to be dead on the bottom. I find that way you catch better fish. And just mix it up. Get your hands around the bowl, mix it up gently, nice like that. And when it's absorbed all the water, just leave it. And you've basically prepared your baits then. You've got your pellets done, you've got your ground bait done. You can leave them now while you get your fishing tackle set up. The final bait presentation, you've set your tackle up, you've got your bait nearly ready, but you've got to finish it off, and it's very important now because your ground bait will have dried out a little bit while you've been setting your tackle up. And what a lot of people, they make the mistake at this, they put too much water in, and you only need a right little bit and mix it up, and it's amazing what that little bit of water does. It just stops it from going dry. And once you've got that in a nice texture, the easiest way to explain it is if you get a ball of ground bait like that and squeeze it, you can feel the dampness coming through. Just feel it damp, and that's the giveaway. And the colour of the ground bait is also a little bit of a giveaway. When you squeeze it, it will be slightly darker than the ground bait in the bowl. That tells you that it's perfect. And just to finish off, what we do, we just put it on a riddle, just to fluff it up a bit. Just put it on a riddle, shake it through and push it through with your hands. And you'll see what it does, it gets all the lumps out, because all them lumps are wetter than the other ground bait, and all you're trying to do is split it up and get it nice and fluffy inside the bowl. And you can see now that it's a nice, beautiful mix of ground bait. Now the ground bait one is fairly easy, but the pellet one, at this point, you can make them go wrong dead easy. And what most people do at this point, to get them to stick a bit more, they add a bit more water in. And you've got to be very careful now, because the pellets are dried out, and they've actually dried out there, but all you do to get them right, and sometimes during the day you've got to do this as well, is don't add water. All you do is put your hands in the water, and as it's dripping like that, so you don't get too much, all you do is get your hands and put it in, and that's all you need to do with pellets. No more than that, otherwise they'll go too spongy, too wet, and they won't stick. So all you do is just dip your hand in the water and just spread them round like that, and it's amazing now, all of a sudden, they've gone sticky again, and that's all that you have to do. The final little preparation is this. All you do in your pellets, you get an handful of ground bait. That's all that you need, one handful of ground bait, and to put it into your pellets. And what that does, all the gaps in the feeder where the pellets, where the air will get in, it flattens all them little gaps, and it makes it stick on your feeder a little bit longer. You just mix it all in. That's the final preparation. That's my pellets done, my ground bait done. Let's go catch some fish now.
Tommy, I noticed you got yourself 3 feeder rods set up, and each one looks different to me. You know, would you just explain to me what's what and the reasons why you use them?
I've got a method feeder, I've got a pellet feeder, and I've got a secret feeder set up, which I'll show you later on.
Lovely.
But the first one is a pellet feeder. It's a fantastic way of catching fish. It's inline, so it's free running.
Can you buy the same feeder with any elasticated version?
Yeah, you can get the same one, but a lot of fisheries ban it, and they only allow them inline, so you've got to check when you go in your fishery which you're allowed to use. And the only time personally that I use the elasticated feeder is for distance. When I'm fishing a right long way out, I find it better with elastic. I don't know why, it just works better than it does with inline. Maybe it's something to do with that bouncing free up and down, I don't know, but distance, it makes a difference. But the method feeder, all it does, it's inline, it runs free, and it runs onto a core and quick change bead. One of the finest little inventions ever. It acts as a bead, so it acts as a cushion as the feeder comes down. It also comes apart so you can put your hook lengths on, and if you want to change the bait, you can easily change your hook length and your bait. When you're fishing with the pellet feeder though, usually the hook bait is a pellet. I usually band on a PR36 with a little band on, I usually band a pellet. It's quite interesting, Clint, that when you fish with pellets in the feeder, you have to have a pellet on the hook. But when you're fishing with ground bait, you can get away with other baits sometimes, like corn or meat or a pellet or maggots. But when you've got pellets around the feeder or in the feeder, then you're always better with a pellet on the hook. And all you do, just get your little stretcher band over the middle of the pellet, and it's like that. It's also important just to have a little gap between the hook and the pellet as well. A lot of people have it too long away and finish up bumping fish around the mouth. That's quite important. To fill the feeder, it's quite easy. All I do, I hold it in my right hand like so.
Sharp,
yeah, they are sharp, aren't they? Yeah. Like that. Just get a few pellets in one and just tip them in, just fill it up, and then just squash them in. Now it's important you don't press them really, and because they've got to come out. And if you press them too in, they won't come out. So just press them in gently, get your hook bait, put that in the middle, get some more pellets, just put it on top, and a little squeeze, then tip them off, and it's all ready for casting in. What happens is that hits the water, it's the bottom, you want it to hit the bottom intact, and the pellets will come out with your hook bait, the fish come in, too late, got you.
It looks actually like it's forced in, but I take it the pressure of the water will pop that bait straight out.
That's exactly what happens, yeah. It comes out and it all lays just there. The fish can only get in one way, unlike a method feeder where they can get it at different ways. They're fighting to get into that one spot. This particular way of fishing is awesome. I think I use it a lot when it's deeper water, because on the method sometimes with pellets sometimes they come off quite easy or easier. With this, they're always going to be in.
And that way you avoid fish coming up in the water and line bites.
Yes, it's so important that lands on the bottom in one piece. You don't want it coming out, the hook bait coming out while it's going through the water. Okay. It's a lot easier with a pellet feed than it is with the method.
Oh, I think that one's on, mate.
Yeah, that's on, pal.
Oh.
All you've got to do is make sure you pick up when there's a fish on. A lot of people strike at line bites. Then when you get a fish, just keep the rod low and just wind in nice and steady, not too fast, and the fish will swim towards you. And then when you get it quite close, under the rod tip, just hold it, lift it up,
and bash me round the head with it.
Yeah, and get you round the head. There you go. Simple as that. As long as I've had to wait all day, that.
Take your word for that, I think. One of the things I try to do, Clint, is when I'm caught a fish, when I'm re-baiting and refilling the feeder, is keep a bend in the tip. So, in other words, I want the line about a foot and a half shorter than the tip. So when I pull the feeder, there's a bend in the rod. I can put the rod there, and because there's a bend in the rod, the line don't get wrapped round. Oh, yeah.
And a lot of anglers get that problem. So if you keep the bend in the rod, in your right hand, put the feeder.
Keeps it all under tension.
Under tension. And then all you do, press, hook bait, press, gentle, and it's all ready for casting in. Then, because you've got that tension, all you've got to do then is the weight of the feeder will go out straight behind you and cast. Break, plop.
Ready for action.
Ready for action. Then what I do, I always put the rod tip under the water and I pull the line near the reel really slow. And what I'm trying to do is sink the line. Let the line sink real slow and gradual. You don't have to do it fast, because if you get a bite, you'll feel the bite. And then if you don't get a bite, the line's sunk, and then put it on the rod tip like that. There you go, line is straight away. Look at that. That fish is on now. All I've got to do is pick it up, I don't strike,
wind him in.
And wind him in into the fish like that. Just take your time, keep the rod low, just wind nice and steady. You don't have to rush it, all you've got to do is catch it. Just take your time, bring it in, let the fish swim towards you, and then when you get to the rod end, you watch the angle of the line. When it's near the rod end, you can pick it up, just turn the rod round, bring it up. It's as simple as that.
If only.
And that's a beautiful F1. It's about £1, £6.5. Caught on pellet feeder.
Okay, Tom, that's the pellet feeder done. Would you mind showing me the method feeder, please?
Yeah, it's another great way of catching fish, Clint, and it's just a little bit different to the pellet feeder. You can remember with a pellet feeder, the bait come out the front, so the fish could only get at it one way. Yep. As you can see with method, it's more open. The fish can get at it in different directions. It's exactly the same. It's in line. You can get it elasticated as well. Again, I use the inline unless I'm fishing distance. It's onto a quick change bead, where it protects it, 4-inch hook length, but sometimes with the method you have to use different baits. I usually start off on a banded pellet, but you can, especially with ground bait, you can get away by using meat and corn and maggots and other baits with ground bait. With pellets, you've got to usually have pellets on, but we've got a little way of helping us actually load the method feeder. It's different. We've got something that helps you out, and it's called a mould. It's quite simple, quick release mould. As you can see, it's quick release at the bottom, and all we do in this case, there's different ways of actually putting it on but I always do it this way. If I use ground bait, I always put a little bit of ground bait in first. Make a little hole in the middle, put my hook bait in that little hole and lay the line, grab the feeder with finger and thumb like that, and then overfill it with ground bait or pellets, put the feeder on the top, press it from the top and then press the release from the bottom, and how's that?
Beautiful.
That's beautiful.
I just noticed looking at it, it's fairly small.
Yeah.
Do they do them in different sizes?
They do 3 different sizes, small, medium and large, and I use them for different purposes. If I'm catching between 40 and 100 fish, like F1 fishing in and out all the time, I use that size, which is a small. If I'm fishing for 20, 30 fish, I use the large one, which is the next size up. And if I'm fishing for up to 10 fish, then I'll use the big one. And it's quite simple. There's more bait there, you're leaving it in longer, and that way usually you're fishing for carp and I want the bait to be there. Oh. But there's one little tip that people don't do. They take it out of the mould and they think that it's been done. I always get a little extra squeeze like that, just in the palm of my hand, just a gentle one like that. And what fish can resist that? It's a great way of fishing. The fish come in, they home into it, they knock that off, and your hook bait's there, they just suck it all in and you've got them every time.
Don't even know they've got it.
They don't know they've got it. It's a great way of catching fish. Right, we're going to move over to method feeder now, but before I cast it in I want to show you the angle that I use on the rod rest, and it's very important for what I think for the way that I do the fishing. It's an XS feeder arm with a tube rod top, and the idea why I like that tube rod top is I know my rod will fit in nice and smoothly and it's not going to run up and down something that's loose, and that's quite important. The angle I set it at is when I put it on the back is I want the tip set 2 inches above the water. That's quite important. You don't want it any higher, you don't want it any lower. I just like it 2 inches above so I'm in control of it, so I can see what's happening with the tip, with line bites and the bites that I'm going to get. But it's the angle of the feeder arm that is more important. I see too many anglers nowadays where they have the rod almost pointing at the area that they're casting to. And I find out when they do that, what happens is when they get a bite it goes like that and it breaks them because there's no pull for the fish to go. And if that's the case, they have to use 2 bigger hooks and 2 bigger hook lengths. I don't like to do that. I like to use little hooks and lighter lines. So I need quite a pull. And if you can see my feeder arm, it's set so that when it's in the water, I've almost got a 90-degree pull to where I'm fishing. So when I get a bite, all the rod bends. That way I can use lighter lines and smaller hooks. That's important to me because I know when I use lighter lines and smaller hooks, I catch more fish. So let's see it in action. So all I do, method feeder, let it go, bring it back, cast it to the spot that I'm casting, break, plop. Put the rod tip under the water and just pull the line very gently and sink. And when the line's sunk, I then put it on the rod rest. What I don't do is move it. You must never move the feeder. And as you can see, they're straight at it and that's a bite. You just pick up, you don't strike, and you wind your fishing. And when your setup's right, it can be as simple as that. Just wind it in gently, just wind in nice and smooth until you know the fish is under the rod tip. And because of the 9 and 10 foot rods, when you pick the fish up in front of you, it's in front of you. It's not too far out. You can then pull the fish over the landing net and net it, and everything is close in hand. If you start playing the fish with the rod up in the air, it will top further out and you've got to play it a little bit longer. Nice little F1.
Okay, Tom, that's a ground bait done. How about the pellets? Does that work the same way?
Almost the same. If you remember when we did this bait presentation, we got the pellets and we put an handful of ground bait in. I'm going to explain to you why I put that handful of ground bait in now. Exactly the same. You half fill the method mould like that. I always like to bury a lot of people have it on the top. I don't. I like my hook bait buried. I know when it gets to the bottom then, a little hole in the middle so the pellet can rest. A few more pellets on the top. Method on the top, squeeze, release from the bottom, and you've got a little ball of pellets. Now this is where the ground bait comes in that I put into the pellets. What happens if you just use pellets when you cast in, because they've got air holes and they're not quite 100%, the water gets in and breaks them up before they get to the bottom.
Okay, and in that way then you get fish then coming off the bottom and following bait down, and then your bites become...
That's what happens, and also your hook bait comes out too soon before it hits on the bottom. When that comes out, you're in trouble.
Yep.
So the idea of the handful of ground bait is to put it in, is to fill all them holes in, so it's in a full block, and when it gets to the bottom, it's got to be like that. And then when the fish come in, the pellets move away, the fish come in and they're homing in, and they pick yours up.
Your hook bait's left straight on the top.
That's exactly right.
There's not a lot of difference either between the pellet or the method, is there, at the minute?
No.
You seem to be getting positive bites
solid,
on both.
It's just solid, isn't it?
No way.
Don't take long, does it?
No. I'll tell you what, that rod is absolutely beautiful.
Well, these rods are awesome, Clint, to be honest with you. The F1 Mini Ranger rods, and there's two sizes, a 9 and a 10 foot. They're very soft. The modern day fishing, I think, means that we've got to use lighter lines and smaller hooks nowadays. And another F1. And I think it's important that you get that balance right. And they're very soft and they're forgiving. The 9 foot is perfect for fishing up Snake Lakes on the pole line, up to 20 metres. Whereas the 10 foot is a bit further than that, and we're past 20 metres.
Like today, 25 metres-ish.
It's perfect, so I'm just using the 10 foot one. But the most important thing is the forgiving, so I can use like 011s and 013 hook lengths, PR36, size 18s and 20s, which is important, because I know I'm going to get more bites if I fish it as light as I can. It's very, very important.
It looks absolutely... How about the reels? The reels look new.
Well, it's a perfect combination really. The Inceptions 3000 and 4000, two sizes. The 3000 is for using with the Mini Ranger rods and for waggler fishing. The 4000 is more for distance. And there's really two purposes on the reel. One is a spool. The spool's quite deep, it's a bigger spool, so you cast a lot easier. And it makes life a lot easier when you can just cast nice and free. I only use £6 line for feeder fishing, £6 Power Max. It's the only thing, I don't put anything else on, just straightforward £6 Power Max line. But the biggest advantage of these reels is when you're fishing, you've probably noticed when I was playing a fish, I was only winding.
Totally
I wasn't pumping,
totally
I wasn't bringing it in, winding, bringing it in and winding. I was winding and making the fish come towards me. That's because there's 10 nice ball bearings in and you can wind against the fish. And that's so important when you're catching lots of fish, it really is. And that's the biggest combination of the rod and the reel.
Perfect.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect.
Well then, Tom, I don't know if you remember, you mentioned you had a little secret at the start, and I think it's about time that you revealed yourself, or that arm's going to have to go at your back.
Have I really got to?
Come on, show me.
All right, just for you, go on, twist it a bit further like that. Well, Clint, we've got a prototype of a new type of method feeder, and it's just a little bit different than the normal method feeder. It's called a banjo. There you go, you see the shape. And the idea of this is quite simple. That's a dinner plate. It's perfect, but the idea is you don't have to put a lot of bait on. And all you do, 4-inch hook lengths the same, you put the bait in the middle, you get a few pellets and you put them on and you can press it.
I just noticed you pressing it down there. Will it come with a mould?
It will come with a mould, yeah,
Oh.
as it will. But that, you can reduce that. The smallest size are a 10p piece and they come in 2 sizes. And you turn it over, none comes out, they're exactly the same, and it's just like a dinner plate. So if you're fishing somewhere like the winter where you only want a few pellets going in, not too many, it's going to be the perfect way of catching them. I promise you that is an absolutely deadly method. It really, really is. It's going to be, in my opinion, the new feeder for 2000 this year.
And will that come elasticated as well, or
yeah,
just
you
in
get
line?
both in line and elasticated, be exactly the same.
So I take it as it hits the bottom, the pellets expand, just come up, the fish just empties the dinner plate.
Exactly the same, yeah. But for me, I can promise you how many fish this is catching. That I just look at it as a dinner plate, and I think that's going to be, you know, like the new way of catching fish.
You're going to catch me a fish on it.
I might even catch you a fish. It's exactly the same. Cast, break,
Plop.
plop, put the rod down and just pull the line until it sinks. And put it on. And go, look at that.
No.
Yep, simple as that.
So, I don't know.
So that just shows you.
Absolutely brilliant.
It is a fantastic new way of catching fish. It's going to really take off. We've got all the accessories that go with it. And there you go. Nice F1. Is that your first fish on the banjo? How's that?
Congratulations, well done, Tom.
Look at that. You've got the method feeder, you've got the pellet feeder and the new banjo feeder. If you get it right, this is what you can catch. Oh God. How about that? Lovely day's fishing. Hope you learnt a few things. Tight lines.
Well, we've just seen some fantastic angling from Tommy, but now we've arrived at Porth Reservoir, where Lee Edwards has set himself up on peg 16. That's the peg where he won his section on last year's Preston Innovation Festival. Let's go and see how he's doing. Lee Edwards is a current Welsh international and holder of the world river record, catching 316 pounder chub on the River Wye. He can also count a world bronze medal and numerous festival wins amongst his achievements. Hiya Lee, how you doing matey?
All right, Clint.
What do you got yourself there?
Something a bit, it's a bit decent.
That's a bonus fish for here today.
Yeah.
Crikey, could you have picked a windier peg?
I know, mate. It's been in the valley, isn't it?
You should be used to it,
Yeah,
living in the valleys.
From the valleys. Oh, there's the float.
There's the float.
The float's coming.
Oh, he's coming ever so slow.
This don't look good.
No, he's all slowed up now, isn't he?
Yeah. Oh,
It's
it
a
is.
pike.
It is a pike.
I've just seen him.
It looks about 8 to 9 pound, I reckon.
Well done though, mate.
Now, if I was a world champs, I'd be happy. Because you can put him in the net.
Just hooked. Oh, he's in the mouth. He's took
in
the
the mouth.
caster, hasn't he?
He's took the caster, mate, yeah.
Anyway, Lee, you're looking, another fish, looking quite good here, mate. Why are you chosen peg 16 today?
I've come back here because last time I drew the peg, I won the lake with 34-pounder skimmers. It was a bit different then. It was sort of a warm, overcast day, really.
Unlike today, where it's blowing a gale.
Totally different conditions today, but you know, we're having a few.
Lovely. And on that day, what was like the base of your catch then?
Mostly skimmers, to be fair, mate. The lake was coloured, and once it starts to colour up, the skimmers start to feed. But today it's very clear, and we're having the opposite: some roach and some perch.
Well, you look nice and comfortable there, Lee.
I mean, to come down here you need a lot of wading, so you need a decent platform and all the accessories that go with it, really.
And most pegs along here, you need to be actually set out in the water, yeah?
Yeah, yeah. The banks are quite shallow before you get to the shelf, so you just need... I mean, you don't need to worry about the sinking in the platform because the bottom of the lake is quite solid, you know? There's no silt or nothing like that. So
I've not sunk in yet, anyway.
No, I'm not going to worry about that. I mean, because when you're out here for 5 hours, trying to concentrate because it's normally a bit of a fish race, and you just need everything to hand. You need side trays, bait waiters. I mean, everything can come off the box. All the attachments for the keep nets and the pole sock to keep the pole, you know, exactly where you want it.
It's even that, like you say, the pole sock's most important because in this sort of weather, if your pole blows along the bank and you've got to get off your box, it could disturb your swim right in front of you.
Yeah, yeah. Plus, you know, you need the root system as well because there's a fair bit of carbon on there. And you don't exactly want them going in the lake either, you know. So
no, it's better than them days of dropping your top kits down on them reeds and brambles and everything.
That's it, mate. That's it.
Keeps it all nice.
Yeah.
Well, Lee, I'm just looking at the lake here in front of you at the minute, and that's a massive expanse of water. How would you attack this peg, or how would you approach this peg?
Because we're in March and the water's been cold all over the winter periods, I don't think you're fishing for much anyway, you know, so I prefer to cup in some balls and keep it tight because as I mentioned earlier, the water's clear and I don't think you're going to catch many skimmers which tend to come to that sort of balling in type of feeding.
And today, have you set up exactly the same lines as you set up on that day last October?
Yeah, it's exactly the same, mate, yeah.
And how many lines is that?
It's just a line at 11.5 metres, and then it's the waggler as well. I mean, I don't think you're going to catch closer than that, considering...
Just to the clarity of the water,
yeah. Plus, you know, there's pike activity and all that as well, so...
Yeah. So how was your initial feed?
I've just put in 4 balls. It was 4 balls of super crush roach with a little bit of fish meal in it, just in case, you know, just in case them skimmers do
just
show.
Just attract the skimmers, yeah.
Yeah, not much of it though, but into that I put quite a bit of chopped worm really, but you chop up really fine.
Yeah.
So it's like a soup.
Right, just minced up.
Yeah, so when the balls go in, you keep the mix a little bit drier, and then because of the worm then will compensate and make it a bit wetter, you know.
Yeah.
Because it is fairly deep there where we're fishing, and it's constantly going away as well. So I've brought the bait a little bit short to compensate for it coming down the shelf.
Lovely. When you say a little bit short, you know what, half a metre?
Half a metre, mate.
Half a metre, yeah. So you'll cup in half a metre short of where you're actually fishing now, and then if there's any water movement, your bait's actually going down the slope and to where your hook bait is.
Yeah, exactly.
And then how about your waggler line?
The waggler is loose fed with casters, with small balls of ground bait, which is purely fish meal really.
Yeah. Because
you don't want to be going out there catching roach. You're trying to bring the skimmers and the hybrids up.
Yeah.
You know.
So you'd fish the waggler off the bottom.
Yeah. About 6 foot seems to be the way on here for me personally.
So is your intention to actually keep the lines as separate as possible? You know, your pole line at 11.5 metres and 18 metres on the waggler.
No. It can be missed bites on that waggler can be a bit of a nuisance, and what I try to do is to prime it up, and probably into the last hour I feed him short.
Right, yeah, yeah.
To try and get him to come over the pole line, which you've been feeding on the bottom.
So you combine, you're then going to combine the two lines into the one,
into the
and
one.
hopefully have the last hour really good on the pole.
Because obviously it's quicker, because if you miss a bite you can just drop it straight back down and you're not bringing it in and whatever on the rod, you know. Just trying to speed things up a bit, because it's always a close affair on you.
This wind is really hampering you today, mate.
Yeah, it's a bit of a struggle, mate, but we're having a few fish.
Just hard to get the presentation. It would be very hard on the waggler today, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I think it's going to go through a bit too quick, but
still give it a go later and see how we do on it.
Yeah, the wind always dies down here. Come 4 o'clock, it normally drops. So
it's normally about 5 minutes after the match finishes.
Yeah. So we'll have a few in it later, I'm sure.
Yeah. If you was fishing at another time of year, how would you then feed it?
The other option is to ball it. I mean, for that you need a good pair of balling arms. Put the pole in the rest, put your cupping kit on your end, and just let it go.
Are they universal to most boxes?
They are. They do fit most boxes, yeah, but I'm modifying mine slightly because I've got a small arm on there which swivels a pole left and right.
That makes it adjustable?
Yeah, it's primarily for river fishing, to be fair, if you want to ball downstream, but it's just something I do.
And how much pole have you actually got in the rest at the minute?
There's about 11.5 metres in there, but because they spaced right, you can put 60 metres in there, no worries.
So it'll stay that stable?
Yeah, the box won't move, you know what I mean, it's secure.
So it actually means when you're balling in, you can stand alone from the box, be dead accurate, and use your pole pot as your target?
You can stand behind it if you've got enough space, or you can stand on your foot plate and you're ready to go.
Brilliant, what a great idea. Okay then, Lee, you've been catching plenty of fish on the pole, but earlier you mentioned about fishing a waggler. Would you just like to explain to me and show me your setup?
Well, the rod I'm using is a 13-foot XL.
Yeah.
Matched to that is the new 3000 Exception.
Nice.
Well, the line on there, the main line, is 3 pound Power Max. It's a line which sinks well. You can use it for feeder fishing or waggler fishing. The float I'm using is a 5AA Peacock insert, shotted with one shot above and the rest below it.
Okay, why do you not just do it equally?
I just think it casts better. It's more direct, you know, and catching go in the same place. Below that is a swivel, and the line below the swivel is 0.13 reflow power.
Right, yeah. So you got a few droppers there. How many droppers you got?
There's 4 number 10s on there, and below that is another swivel.
Okay, and the swivel there to like stop line spin?
Yeah, line spin, yeah, because you do fish it particularly fast.
Yeah.
You know, so that's a size 24, which more or less is the same sort of weight as a number 10 shot.
All right, yeah.
Below that is about 2.5 foot of 0.9 XViD.
All right, yeah.
Right, and on the end is a size 18 PR344. And that is it.
Okay, then I've seen you set up. Now cast out and see if you can catch me one.
All right, mate.
Lovely fish. So the waggler works then, mate?
Yeah, another quality fish, shallow.
Isn't it amazing how nice the bites are on the waggler? And yet a nice big thick tip. What's that? 2.5 mil. You know, but yeah, if you fished a pole float with a 2.5 mil bristle, you just wouldn't be happy with that at all, would you?
No.
Oh. Things were going well for Lee, but not everything in fishing goes to plan.
Whoa, you beauty!
Okay, Lee, you've shown me the waggler works, but I noticed you've got 3 different top kits set up. You just explain your top kits for me.
Well, the elastic is a number 4 slip original.
And that's on all the same?
Yeah, that's on all the rigs, that is.
Yeah.
And it's all set quite pingy. For the reason being, you need to give them a firm strike here, because I think the mouths are a little bit funny.
And the depth of water?
Yeah. And then, which obviously, you know, you can compensate for big, small fish on that as well.
Yeah, yeah.
The rig, well, the main line is 011 reflow power. The float is a 1 gram PT Series 8.
Right.
It's got like a rugby ball shape, a fibre tip, which you can see quite well in here.
Yeah, yeah.
And the shape is, I think it's quite important because there's always a tow, there's always a wind, and with that you can hang on to it. You can.
Right, I see. So you can hold it firm.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Onto that is an Olivet with 3 or 4 number 10 droppers. Now this is a quick rig for getting to the bottom quick, and most of the bites you normally get when they're here is the fish will come down, intercept the bait and bring it back up so you get a lift bite.
So the fish are coming up and down
Yeah.
in the water as
Yeah.
you're loose feeding with a catapult.
Yeah.
They're coming up and then
Yeah.
going down.
Onto that is a 09 XViD hook length to a size 18 PR311. In all cases, the barbs are flattened. It's just because you never know where you're going to hook. There's a lot of perch in you, and you know you don't want a barbless, but you just want a little bit of security.
And we can point out at the moment that this venue, microbarbs are allowed.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. The other rig is more so for catching roach. It's the same, obviously same elastic, same line.
Set at the same depth?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a 0.8. But we've got a smaller Olivet. Plus we got a dozen.
Oh, I see a few more. Yeah.
Yeah, a dozen number 12s there on that sort of tapered bulk effect. And this rig is for the catching the roach when they're a little bit cagey, and you can lift the rig up, pull it to the side, and it'll fall in a slow arc because of the way the shots will settle.
So because they're set up that way, it gives you a slower fall through the water.
You can hold it up, put the float against the toe.
Yep.
And when it cocks, then it slows it all down. And roach that's the way they feed, like, you know.
Right, in that last 2 or 3 foot.
Yeah. And normally when that last shot registers is when you normally get the bite.
Okay then, Lee, that's the first 2 rigs talked about, but that third one looks a little bit different.
Yeah, this is my shallow rig. The elastic's the same, the main line's the same, down to the hook length and hook. But we've got a short, stubby float. It's a PV Silver 7. It's got a thick wire stem, which makes the float cock very quickly.
So very, very stable, yeah?
Yeah.
So in that way, you're actually ready to see the bites almost instantly.
Exactly, yeah.
Right.
And the difference is, there's no Olivet. There's just a tapered bulk on number 12s halfway down.
Can I just see that bolt? I see, that's delicate.
And that's basically because you're fishing over the pole. The pole is going to scare the fish because the water's so clear. They ain't going to come up in the top layers of water. So in 6 foot of water, just get it halfway down, and then the rig will be fishing in the lower parts of the water.
So basically, you've really just copied your waggler rig,
Yeah.
and a little bit more finesse on the pole.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, the difference is with a waggler, because you're in extra distance, there's nothing to scare them apart from the float or the balls of gramming going in or wherever. So
No.
they're up and down. But when you got a pole, you know, on a pole line, it's an effective rig.
Let's see if it works then. Well, Lee, it's working.
Yeah, then better fish are.
They're up in the water, aren't
Yeah, they're shallow, mate. Yeah.
they? I'm dodging you. They're the ones you want.
Here the stampers you want, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Lovely. Let's cast a roach. And what are you doing? Feeding about 10 casters every chop?
Yeah, about that.
So you're having to feed well to the left, aren't you, because of that toe?
Yeah.
Like you said though, later in the day that wind's going to die. I notice you're lifting the float like 10-12 inches out of the water.
Yeah, it's just
Did you
trying
just
to...
think that they have it on that last little bit of movement again?
Yeah, that's... and if it's possible, you try to hold it against the toe, but the wind is awkward, you know, but it just slows that fall down a little bit and just the boat seem to pick it off.
And the way you lay your line and pull your float back through, is that to get a quicker drop through the water?
Yeah, it's to get the float fishing quicker. I mean, because if you laid it out, the float will have to travel across the water to get to the bulk.
Yeah.
So you just put the bulk in and then flick the float directly on top of the bulk, and the float will cock like that instead of skidding across the water.
The obvious thing is as well, I reckon the majority of your bites has come from you just lifting it and dropping it down again, hasn't it?
Yeah.
How long would you actually let the rig there settle? 10-15 seconds before moving it?
Because when they're there,
you don't have to wait.
No, they'll take it straight away.
Yeah.
If you don't get an instant bite off it, just lift it up and put it to the side.
These pike are definitely spooking them. Oh. Yeah. Three ouncer?
Well, that, isn't they?
Well, Lee, we've had a load of excitement in the last hour. You've had a few roach shallow, a few fish on the waggler, 1 or 2 pike. Would you mind going back now and just showing me the ground bait that you used on the day and how you've mixed it, please?
Yeah, no worries, mate. I'm just going to show you how to mix the ground bait I'm using today. First of all, it's 75% of a new silver crush roach. It's got coriander in it and hemp seed, just the proven ingredients that roach like. To that, I'm adding 25% F1, and this has been proven that skimmers enjoy it. So in that goes. Give it a bit of a mix around. So it's all gone together, and now we just had to add water. Just adding the water now, bit by bit. Just giving them some firm movements just to mix it all in. You're not going to get it right first time, you're going to have to come back to it time and time again, to be fair, until you got it right. With all ground baits, they all need standing, so... Just going to add a final bit of water. Give it one last mix. And then we can leave it standing for a couple of minutes. Now I've let it stand for 15 minutes, it's time to riddle the lumps off. Just put a couple of... do it a bit at a time because it doesn't go through the riddle properly otherwise. Push it all through. And that's the light sort of fluffy consistency that I needed really. You can put small balls on a waggler and it'll break up on the top. Or there's enough binding there to hold some paddles to get down to the bottom. And that's how I prepare my ground bait.
Look at them beauties, you've had a brilliant day.
Yes mate, some nice perch in there and some quality roach. as expected really, because of the clear water. Tip them back.
Well done. Brilliant day.